So if someone comes up to me and tells me that Terence Bud Crawford is the greatest boxer of all time, I would be like, hey, listen, I can't disagree with you. I completely understand where you're coming from. In fact, listen, everyone says that Muhammad Ali is the GOAT, and he is the GOAT, forever will be the GOAT. And even Bud says that he's the GOAT. But I'm not gonna lie, as far as what my eyes have seen, in all my years of watching boxing, Terence Bud Crawford is the greatest fighter my eyes ever saw. And when did I say this? When did I realize this? It was after the Errol Spence fight. And every time I talk about the Errol fight, I get some of you beautiful people who tell me, listen, why are you speaking about the Errol fight? Errol had a car crash, Errol had one eye, Errol this or that. Listen, I don't care what was going on with Errol Spence. Nobody, and I mean nobody in history would have done that to Errol Spence. And listen, all of you beautiful people knew what Errol Spence went through before the fight, but none of you picked Bud Crawford to destroy Errol Spence in 8 rounds and drop him like 4 times, hurt him like 100 times, break records on him, break everything about him, break his spirit, hurt him to the body, hurt him to the head, drop him with a jab. None of you would have ever predicted that. And listen, I picked Bud Crawford by knockout in that fight, but I was so nervous. I was way more nervous for Bud than the Canelo fight. If you go back and watch my live stream for the Canelo fight, I did like a nearly 6-hour stream. I believe like a couple of hours in, a lot of you asked me for the prediction. I was like, listen, I'm going to give it to you guys. Bud Crawford is winning this fight. And I said it with such confidence. Listen, anything can happen in boxing, but for some reason, I wasn't really scared for Bud's health in that fight. But when he fought Errol Spence, let me tell you, I was scared for Bud. And let's not forget, Errol was the eye breaker, was the eye snatcher. He had the eye orbital on his mouthpiece. We were all sold on Errol being this. And listen, Errol was actually higher on the pound for pound list than Canelo Alvarez. When Bud fought Errol was number 3 pound for pound. Canelo was number 8. And Bud dominated both. Within 2 years' time, he dominated and dismantled 2 people in the top 8 pound for pound rankings, 20 pounds apart, 3 divisions apart. And Bud picked them both apart. Listen, Bud Crawford, Muhammad Ali, I love Muhammad Ali, what the man stood for. I believe this is why he will forever be remembered as the GOAT. It's because of what the man stood for. And yes, beautiful people, it takes way more than what you do in the ring to be considered the GOAT. But if you want to strictly talk about boxing, Bud is the GOAT. At least, let's have 2 GOATs. Muhammad Ali and Bud are the 2 GOATs. Many reasons why I'll tell you Bud is the GOAT. You know, a lot of people say that Roy Jones is the GOAT. Love Roy Jones. Roy Jones the human, I believe, is 10 times greater than Roy Jones the fighter. And let me tell you, Roy Jones the fighter was perfect in his prime. But the reason why I consider Roy Jones top 3 GOAT or top 5 is because of the man outside of the ring. He's just like Muhammad Ali. He stands for something. He will never fall for anything other than that coward. Unlike that coward who keeps on hating on him. That coward with the only thing that he can attach to his identity, the undefeated record, money. The man who sold his soul for money. The man who would sell his mother for money. The man whose face looks like the bottom of my shoe. Beautiful people. There's levels. And Bud Crawford might just very well be the GOAT of this boxing thing. Listen, the way that he fights, without a doubt, without a single question, beautiful people, he is the most dynamic fighter my eyes ever saw. He is the greatest switch hitter my eyes ever saw. He is the most confident and most charismatic fighter my eyes ever saw. And he might just very well be the most badass, but at the same time humble fighter that my eyes ever saw, let me tell you, beautiful people. going up from 135 to 168, collecting belts all the way from lightweight to 168. I love Gervonta Davis, but you get people like Gervonta Davis who go like, I don't need to fight Shakur, he's way bigger. I don't need to fight Devin, he's way bigger. I don't need to fight Ryan, I'm going to put a rehydration clause because he's way bigger. Then what do you say about Bud? Jumping all the way from 135 to a 168 pound Canelo with no rehydration clause. Canelo was over like probably 190 on fight night. Look at, you see the man's back? You see the man's traps? The man's legs? The man's hamstrings? The man's calves? Canelo looked like a Ninja Turtle. He looked like an action figure, let me tell you, beautiful people. And Bud Crawford outsmarted him, out-wrestled him, out-clinched him, out-fought him, out-boxed him, did everything and anything you can think of, dominated him from bell to bell. Canelo barely won 2 rounds. What? And you know how hard it is to beat Canelo in Vegas. And not only did he beat Canelo in Vegas, but he beat Canelo not against 20,000 screaming fans, against over 70,000 Canelo fans. Let me tell you, beautiful people. And Bud made it look easy. Bud didn't have a single scratch on his face, didn't have a single mark or bruise on his face. He only had that small cut from the headbutt. Other than that, listen. Bud was never hurt. Canelo was hurt. Bud was never uncomfortable. Canelo was uncomfortable from the first bell to the last bell. Bud was the one smiling. Canelo was the one wanting to dodge gloves. A lot of people like to talk about that Madrimov fight. Well, what about Madrimov? Styles make fights. And Bud went from 147 to 154 with 1 year layoff, with no tune-ups against the champion, undefeated champion, a guy with nearly 400 amateur fights. Bud beat him. Went versus Canelo, everyone doubted him, beat him. What more can you say? What is there more for Bud to prove? The man is so dynamic, so charismatic, so elite, so humble, that walkout, that Eminem walkout, what was that? I watched that walkout probably 100 times. I watched that. Out of all the fights I have watched in my lifetime, I have never watched a fight in MMA or boxing more than that Errol Spence fight. I probably watched that fight 50 times. Ever since that fight happened, I at least watch it once a month, twice a month. Leading up to the Canelo fight, I probably watched it like 20 times, 30 times. After it happened, the week after it happened, I watched it probably 20 times. That Errol fight. What? First fight on PBC. The odds were stacked against Bud. Even Jimmy Lennon, while announcing Bud's name, he botched his resume. On purpose, let me tell you, I believe. Bud didn't get phased, didn't get discouraged. Bud versus Canelo. 70,000. Screaming fans. Bud was laughing. What was that walkout? Entering with a guitar, with his Mexican childhood friend, singing him a Mexican song. Charismatic Bud, puffed up shoulder, head high, walking out with a smile on his face with the guitar. I didn't know the movie, but I saw the meaning behind his walkout, with that movie, the Antonio Banderas movie. Walking in with a guitar, was his weapon. Just some badass stuff, you know what I mean? Listen, if you don't want to call Bud the GOAT, listen, if you don't want to call him the GOAT, that's fine. But you might want to call him the most badass fighter you've ever seen, because he is the most badass fighter I've ever seen in my life. That Eminem walkout, I will never forget. The greatest walkout in history. That Errol Spence performance, the greatest championship performance in history. Doing that to number 3 pound for pound? Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? But Crawford, in my opinion, is the GOAT. We're not talking about the complete package inside and outside the ring. Muhammad Ali, okay. Much respect to Muhammad Ali. Love the man. God bless his soul. God bless in peace, Muhammad Ali. Crawford tells you that Muhammad Ali is the GOAT. They ask him before the Canelo fight. They go like, first thing that comes to mind, Muhammad Ali. He goes like, GOAT. But as far as my eyes and as far as this boxing thing, inside the ring, skills, charisma, power, defense, offense, switching, being dynamic, but is the GOAT, no question in my mind.